my party. We're just getting started.
Hello and welcome to Talkin' Wrestling with Pondwater Dave. My name is Justin Davis, and as always, I'm joined by the First Lady of the Arn Anderson Fan Club, the great Amy Vaughn, and the man who... Hello, Amy.
Welcome. Hello.
The man who counted Ric Flair's last match, Mr. Dave Miller, Pondwater Dave himself. Dave, how's it going? And who we got with us this week?
This week we're joined. We got a great guest this week from New South Wrestling in Alabama. He is the general manager. Everybody, please welcome Dump Sanders.
Yay!
Hello.
Hey.
Hi, Dump. How you doing tonight?
You counted Ric Flair's last match?
I did.
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
After Kyoto took got super kicked, I got to run down, slide in, and make the 3.
Oh wow! Okay, that's awesome.
I'd like to tell you it's because I've been in the business for 18 years and I'd paid my dues and I deserved it. But the truth of the matter is that Conrad Thompson's one of my best friends and he wanted that for me because he knows
that's a good friend to have.
Because he knows how important Ric Flair is to me. Ric Flair is the reason I'm a wrestling fan. So,
dude, Ric's the man. Ric's always been the man.
It always will be.
Just ask him; he'll tell you.
First time I ever met him in person was at it just happened to be in Las Vegas at the MGM Grand, and I came down. We were just on vacation, and I came down out of the elevator, and there was a sign that says "Meet Medusa, Mike Tenay, and Ric Flair," and they were there because Halloween Havoc was going on sale, and Rick openly hit on my wife in front of me.
Well,
what are you gonna do?
He's the nature boy. You're not going to do anything.
He didn't say yes.
I don't think there was a look of shock on anyone's face when you
No,
said
I mean
not at all. Sounds par for the course.
There you go. Nate be Nathan. But anyway, that's my claim to fame.
That's awesome, though.
And I didn't fall down, so.
Oh, that would have been the worst.
Oh yeah, the running was be Charles, not Titus. Be Charles, not Titus. Be Charles, not Titus.
Oh man, I used to love Charles. Used to slide all the way like across the ring and like at those WrestleManias and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I always popped for that stuff.
I was always impressed he could run that far.
Oh yeah,
I get gassed watching him.
The same.
Well, Dump, tell us, you're now the general manager of New South Wrestling.
Oh yeah, matchmaker.
How long have you been doing that?
Probably like a couple of years. Like I've always been like the promoter of New South and stuff, but we did like the general manager thing, which just makes sense since I'm making the matches anyway, so might as well. I always grew up like a big fan of like Cowboy Bill Watts, and I liked how he was kind of like the promoter, like, you know what I mean? So,
yeah, he just watched Dump in an Alabama bull rope match.
Which one? There's a couple of different ones.
Is that your specialty?
That is my specialty because I'm also a huge Dusty Rhodes mark. So
okay,
yeah, love everything the Dream did.
Okay, so what all is an Alabama bull rope match? How does that work?
Well, it's very similar to the Texas bull rope match, but it happens in Alabama.
There you go.
Well, okay, keep it
That's
simple,
about the
right?
only difference.
That makes sense. Why reinvent the wheel, right?
Hey, you know how Alabama folks are about like state love, especially when it comes to football. I can't call it a Texas bull rope match. This is not gonna fly.
It's touching all 4 corners, Amy. There's a bell on there to hit them in the head with, or whatever.
Gotcha.
Love bull rope matches. The drama is just that when they're that close to getting to the fourth quarter.
Oh yeah, that's so fun to play with.
The storytelling is so great on those matches. I love them.
So you did. Oh, my bad. No, I was just going to say. So you did mention liking Cowboy Bill Watts and Ric Flair and Dusty Rhodes. What kind of what age were you when you got into wrestling? What kind of wrestling were you able to watch when you were younger? And tell us some things about that, about your fandom.
I grew up in Chicago, Illinois, and we had a cable. This is like mid 80s. I had like the greatest cable package ever, where Saturday was literally all day wrestling. We got all the territories. Watched Memphis in the morning, I think. Then we would get the Mid Atlantic stuff, and then the Von Erichs were huge in my household. But yeah, I was basically raised by a television, and I would watch wrestling anytime it came on.
Yeah, I know until we got cable, all we had was World Class, and then we got cable, then we'd get Southwest, and then the WWF would come in, and then wrestling would get more as it got more popular in the 80s. I was getting ready to go out one Friday night, and I turned on a UHF channel, and Battle of the Belts was coming on from Florida.
Oh, wow.
So all of a sudden, I wasn't going out. I stayed home because we didn't have VCRs. But every time that a new wrestling would come on the television, I got so excited. So I can't imagine living in an area that you had all those options right out of the gate.
Literally all of my money went to buying VHS tapes to record off of the television so I could watch it again.
My first VCR was bought for the sole purpose of Ric Flair and Dusty Rhodes promos on Saturday afternoon.
Oh yeah, that was the good stuff.
I'm sorry, Justin. I didn't mean to step on you.
Did you get into tape trading after that? Once you started doing that?
I know people who did, but I never really traded. Like,
yeah,
everything was like, I don't know, too valuable to me, sentimental to me. So like, yeah, I had those tapes until they basically just kind of fell apart. Getting rid of them.
Like, I can't trade that one.
That's the tapes.
That's the Dusty Make It Good tape. I can't get rid of that one.
Oh yeah, yeah. I tried to move some to DVD when that became a technology, but it just got tiresome. So luckily now we have the network and all this good stuff where we can just pull up whatever we want to watch. So.
Kids don't know how lucky they have it now.
They really do not.
But those of us that have them on DVDs could still have the original music.
Oh yeah.
True.
See, that's cool too.
Did you lean towards a certain territory? Even though you get to watch them all, was there one that you were just like, that's my favorite?
I was always a WWF kid. They had Hulk and they had Macho. So like that was, especially at the time I was growing up. I mean, they were just too stacked. And then Junkyard Dog and Hillbilly Jim and all those guys. I just remember loving them as a kid. And the tag teams. Like, it just seemed like WWF had so many tag teams back in the day, and I love tag wrestling.
Yes. Did you ever get to see a live show? Being in Chicago, I would think, at least you would have more opportunities than, maybe some other.
Honestly, because I grew up with a dad who's like, oh, that's fake. Why do you watch it? And I'm like, Dad, why do you watch Westerns? I don't know if you knew this, but those are also fake. So it would just be like a back and forth thing. But yeah, honestly, until I was about a teenager, I don't think I ever saw a live show.
Yeah, my dad was the same way.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, one night he was we were watching it and he was mouthing off, and I already knew the Saturday night show was taped on Mondays, and on Tuesdays they put the results in the newspaper. So I bet my dad on one of the matches. He lost.
That's like gambling on a Rocky movie. I bet Rocky beats him in the rematch.
It was Killer Carl Krupp versus Iceman King Parsons.
Oh wow!
For the German championship. I still remember it because it was the first time I'd ever seen Killer Carl Krupp.
Oh, cool.
They were having some kind of big deal in Fort Worth, and they taped it for television, and Iceman beat him.
Those shows are so good. WCCW, those are so good.
Yeah, I hate that they taped over all those Fort Worth shows. because I mean, you can find them. The people that actually videotaped them and put them on YouTube, you can still watch them. But the Fort Worth show was, in my opinion, Fort Worth show was far superior to what was going on at the Sportatorium.
Oh yeah, I love the Sportatorium though. Like I just love that. It's kind of like the ECW arena before the ECW arena. Just one of those special venues.
Oh.
I always heard it was like a piece of crap, but
oh yeah, it was hot in the summer, cold in the winter, smoke filled. In fact, I got to where I would buy my tickets when I'd go. If I knew I was going to get to go in multiple weeks, when I got there, I would buy my tickets for the next week, and I could pick. I had choice of the seats, and I would sit in section D because it was only 5 rows deep, and I could get the 5th row, and I could stand up, so I'd see over everybody when they stood up, but there was nobody behind me to hit me with a beer when the heat got out of control. Because they did love they. I mean, when Buddy Roberts was out there, they'd throw beer at him.
Oh, I bet. Dude was a heat magnet.
Oh yeah, so sitting over there and being able to stand up against that wall was always my favorite.
Did you did you want to grow up to be a wrestler? Was that like what you dreamed of, or was it okay, so you did
day one.
Okay.
It's all I ever wanted to do.
And do Alabama bull rope matches?
Yeah, just grow up and do Alabama bull rope matches.
Where did you train at? When did you start?
Well, that is a funny story. It's embarrassing. Actually showed up to a little outlaw show in Falkville, Alabama, and it was with my buddy Christian Haim. And he used to wrestle like in the Midwest area and stuff like that, CZW, stuff like that. We just showed up and we were backyarders and, hey, can you do this? Yeah. I mean, we knew how to do moves and we got booked for like the following Friday and we were in the main event.
Oh.
Wow.
Can't make this up because it's embarrassing, but later on, I hooked up with Primetime Brian Lee. I don't know if you guys know who that is. He used to be was like the fake Undertaker and stuff. I learned more hanging out with him than like years of like the Alabama scene. Alabama used to be like really, really terrible as far as like the quality of wrestling and stuff like that. It's gotten a lot better.
We have seen Alabama Doink in action actually in the parking lot of a Golden Corral. So that was.
So is there okay? I've heard the Alabama Doink thing. Is it like one person or is it like multiple people working the deal?
I think the original Alabama Doink died. So I think it might be like the old Doink gimmick where you just put the Brooklyn Brawler under there or whoever. I don't know. So I don't know. I don't really have the answer for you on that, Dump.
Might be
a mystery.
We're going to have to put some research into Alabama Doink.
That might be.
I want to know who he is. I would like to book him. We have the Hoss tournament coming up in March, and I would love to have Alabama Doink.
He is a legend.
I've never seen him, and I'm like in Alabama. That's sad.
I think the only picture I've ever seen of him, he doesn't actually wear the paint. It's a mask. It's a clown mask.
It's a mask?
I think it's a mask. But that's not uncommon because even Matt Bourne had a Doink mask.
I know he had like the flap thing around the head, but like something that actually covered the face, or
yeah, it covers the face. It's the clown makeup and everything, and then the hair.
I guess that makes it easier to go. Well,
I'm sure in a lot of these indies, that there's some of these buildings that you're lucky if you just have cold water running, let alone a place to clean up afterwards.
That makes sense. Makes it easier, or a mirror or anything like that. So you mentioned the Hoss tournament. What is that? What is that?
The Heart of the Southern 16. It's like an annual tournament we do every year. It's like a 2-night event. We got kind of like a Western theme. It's one of my favorite events of the year.
Cool. And when did you say it was?
It'll be this year or this coming year. It'll be March 1st and 2nd.
Awesome. So it's when you say how do you decide when you're going to have it? I guess is what I'm trying to spit out. No,
Well, we do it every March. It's usually the
it's
first week.
it's in every March. Okay, that's cool. Someone said Terry Weaver said he was there in 2023.
Oh yeah.
Awesome.
I'd like to take a minute to acknowledge the chat. We
Oh,
have
sorry.
an
Yes,
incredible audience tonight because Dump Sanders is over like you wouldn't believe.
he has fans. Definitely.
Man, and they have shown up, and we appreciate them. There's so many I can't name them all. If I tried, I'm going to make somebody mad that I left them out.
That's right. Everybody's saying hi to him.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm seeing some new faces, and a lot of roll tides.
I know. With all these people, we'll get it figured out who Alabama Doink is.
I bet our producer's on it. If I know her, she's looking up something. Hoss
Yeah,
tournament.
she never lets us down.
Oh.
Let me ask you. So you had the Haas tournament, but I also noticed that y'all are going to have the Iron Bowl. So,
yes, that is actually this Saturday. It's a match that we used to do like every November because of the Alabama Auburn game, but we're bringing it back. It's basically team battle, anything goes, just like Alabama versus Auburn.
And we see you have a team, right?
I do. I have the Nest and one of my trainees, Zach Johnson,
Okay.
up and coming kid. You guys need to check it out for real.
And who are you going against? I saw the Lee. I don't know
Going
who that
against Negative Lee. There it is. Look at that. Look at that guy. I had to put him in jail our last show. Like he's being bad. Yeah, he got handcuffed and taken away in his own high school.
I want to know who the dude in the green hat is. That guy, he looks like a illegitimate child of Nails. Or something.
Oh man,
I don't know.
I'm not going to be able to get that out of my head now.
I want to know who this guy is over here in the top, on your side, at the very top.
That is Brax.
Brax is intimidating.
Yes, and then the young man on the bottom is Zach Johnson, and then if you're looking at the screen to the right, that's Dr. Thibodeau.
Oh.
I don't know what his actual qualifications as a doctor is, but that is his name.
Dave used to be a doctor.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, when I managed a tag team called the Medics that wore masks and scrubs, and I was the chief of staff, Dr. Philip D. Payne.
Oh man.
Phil D. Payne.
I love that already.
It was fun. It's the most fun I've ever had in my life.
Dave,
I was so heartbroken when that ended.
I think you're going to make the Haas tournament. I feel it. I'm just saying.
It's coming.
I think Dee's really liking what you're saying, and he likes.
Hey, he already told me he left a Ric Flair match, so
I want to riff a New South match, but I don't know if I can hold that belt up by myself.
Tell us about
the story about the belt.
Yes, tell us about that belt.
So when the belt delivered and it was the size of a car hood, what did y'all think?
It's the measurements and stuff were pretty much exactly what we wanted. I always like WCW always had the big gold belt, and to me, like in the South, that's synonymous with pro wrestling. So go big or go home, I guess.
The Watts North American was huge, but wasn't the Humongo not supposed to be that big?
There's a story going around like that I've heard, but that's not really the case.
Oh, that's not it?
Yeah. I'll tell you who made the belt. Do you remember the bell keeper for TNA? He was like the fat, oily guy, Tiny.
Yes.
He makes belts, and he actually made that belt, and he also made our tag belts as well.
Oh, cool.
I love it. I think it's great. It stands out. I mean, it stands out a lot. But But the story I got was that it wasn't supposed to be that big. So, and then y'all got it and thought, well, this is really cool. So,
Oh yeah.
Mongols,
Even though we knew the measurements and everything, when I got that sucker through the mail, I just remember picking up the box and thinking, "Wow, this thing's got some weight to it." And then when I took it out, I'm like, "Geez, it's like a belt big enough for me or Andre to wear."
I don't see Adam from Bama being able to put it over his head.
No.
Well, we did see Cabana Man Dan with that, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we saw the young Cabana Man Dan with no beard and that big.
Oh
belt.
yeah.
Yes. He definitely took us by surprise. Took me by surprise with that picture. I could not believe that was him for what he
It
looks
seems like
now.
every month that picture makes the rounds. Like it'll be like on Reddit or something, and everyone's like, check out this amazingly large belt. Like the joke's always it's bigger than the wrestler kind of thing.
It is impressive. It's definitely a point of conversation. So it's exactly what you wanted. So I mean, here we are talking about it, and it has. Do you have little pins of it? It seems like I've seen somebody was telling us that they had a miniature version. No.
Yes.
Okay,
We actually have like little. There's two variations. There's one where it's just like the big plate.
Yeah.
And then there's like another pin that we had made where it was like kind of like the whole belt. It was really cool though. Those suckers were heavy too. Like there's just no getting around it.
Exactly. Do you still have them, or did you you had them for a show or something and sold them out?
Oh no, we sold them as merch. Yeah,
Okay.
this is like something you can still get. Yep.
Dump, we have somebody in the chat that calls himself Rocksteady.
Oh yeah.
And Rocksteady said that he's seen plenty of diversity on the Alabama cards, but this one is lacking. And then followed it up with, I would love for Dump to address that topic. But you have this match right here. I mean, you've got the NWA Women's Champion.
Sure.
And the team Pretty Empowered versus the Carnies. I'd say that that's a pretty diverse matchup right there.
I mean, I agree.
I am so jealous that people are going to get to see Pretty Empowered this weekend. I love their sisters. I love that they fight together. I really, really, really enjoy that tag team. And they look kind of rough, but I know my girls can take those guys. No problem.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
No problems at all.
These are two of the toughest little girls I've ever come across.
Exactly. Yes. I mean, well, and they're champions. I mean, you don't become NWA champions, just because you're pretty. So, right, Dave? That's how you got all your belts.
Yeah, let's go with that. That's why I got them. That's how I got them and not got in trouble and didn't get in trouble with my wife over it.
That's right. You're just so cute. Anywho, but so this weekend, you've got, obviously we saw Empowered and Pretty Empowered and the Carnies.
Yes, and a door match.
A what kind of match?
A door match. It's the indie table match.
Oh.
Tables are hard to find now.
Really?
Yes. Like you can find like the plastic ones and stuff like that. Just don't have the same effect, So
why GCW's using so many doors.
GCW got huge on the door things because it's so hard to find actual tables. The hardcore indies took them out, I guess. I don't know.
Well, I'll tell you this, just it probably has nothing to do with it. However, so I am in the food service industry, I'll say that. And you would be really surprised how much COVID and just that trickle effect that happened with either plants shutting down or things are out in the ocean, like on a boat, they can't get in. It's probably some, chemical glue that they use on the door is like out on a boat and they can't get it, and that's why the doors aren't being made right now. It's just something, I just think that's funny because we'll have things come up and it's like I can't get a food item. And it's not because they don't have the food, it's because they don't have the plastic that goes over it or something to that effect. So I bet besides them using the doors, it's probably something silly like that, like the glue that
We
presses them
used to have
together.
a stockpile of them. Like anytime that somebody would go out of business or something and advertise like, "Hey, we have like all these chairs
Oh
and tables and
yeah.
stuff," just buy them and sit on them. But like, just hard to find. Hard to
Yeah.
find good plunder these
Well,
days.
when you mentioned that, I thought everybody uses plastic tables now. No one buys the old wooden tables that you could go through per se.
Right.
So
True.
it would be hard to find those old wooden tables unless, like he said, someone's just still had them laying around because they don't really sell them anymore.
And trust me, we still look for them. Like
Yeah.
it's just something good to have in your back pocket.
Yeah.
I got a question about your venue. Do y'all run the same venue regularly, or y'all?
Well, right now that
I've
we're in
seen an
like
outdoor
12
venue, is
months,
why I'm
yeah,
asking.
right now we're in like Florence and Scottsboro, but sometimes we like bounce around. You never know where we're going to be, like Huntsville or something like that, Decatur. We're all over Alabama.
Okay. Well, I know
Do you
that.
go?
Oh, go ahead, Amy.
No, I was just going to say, do you strictly stay in Alabama? Do you venture out any?
Yeah, we've done shows in Tennessee and Georgia, and like a couple of years ago, we actually did a show in Philadelphia. It was like on a
What?
live stream on IWTV.
Really? How did that come
Hmm.
about? That seems kind of different.
Well, Well, we actually have a New South card game, and we got involved with these people, and they actually sponsored us to go out there and put on a show, and help me find the venue and everything, and then we did like I said, we did a live stream. It was actually our Winter Wars Rumble event, so we actually got to go there and put on like a Rumble style match and stuff. It was so fun.
Really? That's really cool.
When you say card game, is it like role playing?
It's it's not really role playing, but it's kind of like Digimon or
Okay,
Pokemon or
that's
something like that. Yu-Gi-Oh, I think is I don't really play them, but it's kind of like that. I remember WWF used to have one very similar called Raw Deal. I don't know if you remember
yes.
that. Kind of like early
I got a
2000s. Something
set of
like that.
them. I bought some cards set that was in the Insurrection set, and I didn't realize it was a card game. I just thought it was a deck of cards.
Ah.
I just happened to see it on the closeout at the comic book store. So
Oh yeah,
that's
they
how
would
I
have
ended up
like
with it.
Taz, and I think Kurt Angle was in there, and then Steve Austin, and each one had like different abilities and stuff like that. But you could also just keep buying the cards and kind of like make your own deck and like to the strengths of the character and what have you.
Interesting. I want to go back just real quick because you grew up in Chicago, but then you ended up in Alabama. How did we do that? You have
Um,
family there? You just like it nice? It's warm? What? No.
Parents got a job in Alabama, and I guess they knew
Okay.
some people, and ended up here most of my life.
Cool. Okay.
I didn't want to step on you again, Amy.
No, that's okay.
Uh, let's talk about this match. Big
Oh
Dave
yeah,
versus Rolando Perez. Rolando Perez, former New South champion, correct?
yes he is.
I think he has some.
Doing big things at NWA right now.
Yes, and I think he's doing some. I think he had some heat with the Kickout crew, El Karai.
Oh
Uh,
yeah,
I listened to their show, and I'm pretty sure. I don't know. Every time Rolando got mentioned, James would get all bent out of shape. So I'm hoping they.
uh
I'm not
oh.
really for sure what's going on with that, but we might be seeing James and Rolando there.
Well,
I'd pay.
Miami Ice, he gets heat wherever he goes.
And
I,
Big Dave's got that bull rope. So is that we got any gimmick infringement there? Or?
Actually, that is a bull rope out of my personal bull rope collection that I gave Dave.
There you go.
Yeah, he's like he's the Magnum TA to my Dusty. So Love that kid. He's got big things coming.
Magnum TA to my Dusty. I love that.
That is pretty cool. Do you obviously you're doing wrestling in the ring, but do you prefer being in the ring or do you prefer being outside the ring, promoting or booking, that kind of stuff?
I honestly love it all. I love everything after the bell rings, but like the backstage politics and the crybaby BS and stuff, I don't really care too much about that. But what actually is shown on television, I love it. I love it. I love it.
Cool.
Where can we see New South at?
It's on IWTV.
Okay.
We have our Action Clash episodes, and then like our special shows. There's like we have a ton of stuff on YouTube as well.
Yeah, I found a lot on you. You were all over YouTube.
Oh yeah,
and I wish I would have had time. I saw the bull rope match and got sidetracked because I really wanted to watch that.
Go back and watch it. I wonder which one it is.
Which one do you recommend we watch?
If it's on there, my favorite one ever is with me and Donnie Primetime. I think it's from Anniversary Show 2, maybe, or 3.
I didn't think it was Donnie Primetime because I was trying to remember if I'd refereed for him here in Mississippi before.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Donnie's been out that way.
But then we have Brandon Williams versus Marcus Dillon. What's going on with these two guys? Well,
Marcus Dillon has been trying to hit on Brandon Williams' wife. So it's one of those. He's the kind of scumbag that likes to cheat on his old lady and go after other people's women. Real jerk.
Interesting. And it's a chairs match, so they're just going to...
Yeah, because it seems like Brandon has been ending up on the wrong side of that chair, so we decided to make this a chair match, so Brandon can even the odds.
So in a chair match, do you have to use a chair to win, or just chairs are legal?
No, it's just chairs are legal. If you get a chair, use it.
But that chain around his neck's not legal.
Oh, no, not at all.
Okay.
He's the locksmith, but this is like something Brandon Williams is like rarely in. He's more of a technical wrestler.
Uh-huh.
So this will be very interesting to see him use the plunder.
What is Brandon's wife going to be there? Like, is she going to be there to watch this match? Since
she will be there to see what happens.
Interesting. That kind of goes back to the, you can't tell, I have Miss Elizabeth on tonight. That goes back to George the Animal Steel and and Randy Savage and Miss Elizabeth. I'm just trying to, it goes back to Jake the Snake and
Cheryl Roberts.
Cheryl and Rick Rude. I'll spit it out. I'm having
that was one of my favorite angles ever, where Warrior pulled off Rick Rude's tights because he had or Jake Roberts, excuse me, pulled off his tights because he had his wife on there.
Yes,
such good stuff.
You're right. I mean, just the idea of her face, on his tights like that. Of course, back then
nobody did it like Rick Rude.
That's what I was going to say.
Man.
What was I, 8, 9? I mean, obviously some of that was going right over my head, but I mean, thinking about it now, like you said, what heat? Like
Rick Rude was so underrated. Like, I loved his WCW stuff against Ricky Steamboat. Those were such good matches.
Oh, when we had him in world class. The way that he would come out and the crowd. I don't know if you can see his matches on Peacock without them being heavily edited for crowd noise. Because between him and Percy, they were saying stuff to him that you can't say on television anymore.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Should you ever been saying it on television? No.
Maybe not, but
no. Wrestling gets a pass sometimes, though, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Or it used to.
Oh, I'm sorry. Ooh, now I've seen this Dylan McQueen, um, but that's the big old belt. Look at it. Look at this poor child. It takes up his complete body.
It's like armor for him.
It really does.
Yeah, you're not going to be able to shoot him in the chest. That's for sure.
No. So we got an I Quit match. Hunter Drake's defending against Dylan McQueen, and I noticed that y'all were going to have a seminar with Dylan McQueen.
Yep. Dylan McQueen came from the Nightmare Factory, and he will be doing a seminar. One of the smartest young dudes that I know.
And for y'all that don't know about the Nightmare Factory, that's Cody Rhodes. I was confusing it with the Monster Factory.
Oh yeah, I guess when it was the Nightmare Factory, is it something else now?
I think they're still calling it Nightmare Factory.
Okay.
But when you said Nightmare Factory, I went to Monster Factory and was thinking about Bigelow and Larry Sharp. So.
Oh yeah, that's like Jersey, right? Confused. Yeah.
But I always encourage anybody that whenever there's an opportunity to take a seminar, I mean, you're never too good to learn anything. So I wholeheartedly encourage anybody that in that area, whether you're booked on the show or not, to attend the seminar and try to better yourself.
Absolutely. Again, back in my day, to sound like the old guy, they didn't have stuff like that in Alabama.
Yeah.
Like, you just sucked, and then you sucked, and you didn't really, there was no one to learn from.
Right.
Yeah. Whenever I'm on a show and James Beard's booked to be on the show, or just happens to show up, if Tim Storm, and he rides with Tim Storm every now and then, I can't wait to be on a show with James Beard, just because the only way that you get better is to work with better people.
Did you that's kind of interesting. Did you work with another promoter? Like, how did you get started in promoting? You were wrestling, started booking. I mean, did you have someone to learn from, or did you just learn, baptize, fire kind of thing?
Pretty much. Just like you learn as you go. I had a kind of an idea from, just like watching wrestling my whole life. I was actually kind of done with wrestling like before New South got started. Like I said, it was terrible here. Like, it just wasn't even worth doing, But Brandon Williams, the locksmith, talked to me about like starting up this new promotion, and we started it, and here we are today.
How long ago has that been?
8 years ago. So like this coming August will be our 9th anniversary.
Cool. That's
and that speaks to the product that you can.
Yeah.
Stay around for 9 years, made it through COVID.
Yeah. Making it through COVID probably was I would think would be a testament, because what did you end up doing? Did you all do outdoor shows? Did you just hype the product, do online stuff? What kind of things did you have to do?
We still ran shows, but the Alabama Athletic Commission was like really strict, which they should be. That's one thing I agree with them on that. So we just had to do like certain protocol, like, obviously everyone had to mask up and all that stuff.
What is how hands-on is the Alabama Athletic Commission with pro wrestling?
Honestly,
just outside of COVID,
it's really not hands-on. They just want their piece of the pie, and that's really it.
Do they do the blood work?
Mm-mm.
They don't require the blood work. They just require to get the license.
Yep. Like I said, they want their $30, and then they want their percentage from our gate.
Oh, interesting. Do they don't have like a limit of how many license you can have? I mean, like, isn't that right? Like and now maybe this could be old, but isn't there like so many licenses that can be in a state?
I know what you've heard me talk. You heard when we talked about it with Josh. In Louisiana, you can have a license and like the cutoff is 400. And if you have
Right.
more than 400, then you have to go to the next level.
Yes.
But then it requires that you have an
So
ambulance.
is that like so basically 400 wrestlers licensed in the state of
No.
Louisiana?
400. The attendance is, if the attendance can only be 400.
Ah,
and
gotcha.
then it goes up. But the problem between to the next level, let's say that if you could sell 800 tickets, you'd have to pay so much for doctors and ambulances. And if the ambulance left, you couldn't do anything until another ambulance got there. There's a
Oh,
monopoly
wow.
there's a monopoly on the ambulance business in Louisiana. So you can't barter and get a better deal. They price you out of the market to grow. They don't encourage growth.
Right.
And there's been
I guess that's
horror
why there's not much
stories.
wrestling in Louisiana.
Right.
And I mean, we do West Monroe, and it's our best town, and we sell out consistently. But it could be so much more. But the current administration that they just can't. They don't. If they would use what they're doing right now and just kick it up to 1,500, you could see great growth in
Sure.
Louisiana.
Sure.
And they got close to getting the commission out one time, and then it was like, nope, we're not gone, and you can't promote here anymore.
Right. And he is talking about Bayou Independent Wrestling. That is who Dave referees for.
Okay.
Just to kind of tell you, because we know, but I want to make sure you knew he was talking about Josh Knoll.
They didn't get kicked out of Louisiana. They weren't the ones that were fighting it. It's just
right. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
That sucks too, because there's so much history there, like in pro wrestling. You know, that's one of the Bill Watts territories, like drawing the huge houses and the Superdome and all that good stuff. That's kind of sad, actually.
And didn't Bill Watts had the only license, right? Didn't they only give one? Did I watch that on
that? I don't know. I know it was his territory. I don't know how they did things back then, but
I might have watched a documentary. I feel like that or maybe Josh was telling us. I probably just need to shut up. I don't even know what I'm talking about anymore. So,
but no, it's just there's lots of good promotions that are still running in Louisiana. It's just it is what it is.
Right.
And I mean, I don't have to have blood work to be a referee, but and I don't have a problem with wrestlers having to have blood work. I don't have a problem with the doctor showing up and checking everybody's blood pressure before the matches. And
sure.
And at my age, I don't mind somebody that we have a defibrillator that if old Dave goes down, they can kickstart me again.
Right.
But it's just so anti-growth. And I think that's the part that and I've just recently been informed we have an athletic commission in Mississippi, but I've only seen them at this one particular show, and it's northern Mississippi. I haven't seen them make it down south yet.
Oh, okay.
So that's why I was concerned. I was just wondering how hands-on Alabama was. Let's move on to this match, Dump. We mentioned Donnie Primetime, and he's going against Harrison Hayes.
Harrison Hayes, another one of our students. Like, this guy's just starting out. He actually got an upset victory on Donnie. And I guess Donnie wants to shut him up.
The kid got one in on him.
He did.
Well, that'll be interesting.
I think Harrison, he looked like Wheeler Yuta, like for some reason. That's who.
He does. Yeah, he does have that.
That was my first thought when I saw him. I was like, I think he looks a lot like. Of course, the other guy with his tongue sticking out, he could be multiple people. Matt Riddle. He could be some other characters out there. So they're kind of a grudge match. Is that what you're saying? One got a win over the other. So now we're doing a grudge match.
Yes.
Awesome.
Out of the chat, Donald Theoson wants to know when Dumpster Bear is going for the belt.
Probably never, honestly, because it's like, I'm sure you know from being around the wrestling business, when like the promoter puts a belt on himself, They make a big to do about it. But to me, if I was as good as Jerry Lawler or any of those guys, I would do it without hesitation. But I just don't think I'm good enough.
Okay. I hope that answers your question, Donald.
Is that the Hulk in the background, or is that a wrestler?
It is the Incredible Hulk, the green one. Yes.
That's what I thought. But at first I was thinking it was a wrestler because it made me think about the Memphis wrestling, in the intro where they have the bronze fighters, whatever. And
Oh
that's
yeah.
what I had to think about. And then as I've been staring at it, I said, I really think that is the Incredible Hulk. But I thought I'd ask. So
Dr. Bruce Banner becomes
like
the
it.
Incredible Hulk.
So can people just buy tickets at the door? Is that how they usually do it there? Where are you at? The brewery?
Yes, ma'am. At the Singin' River Brewery in Florence, Alabama. They have a little venue. It's actually not in the brewery. It's like right next to it. It's called Singin' River Live.
Oh,
cool little venue.
Nice.
Is that where you normally go when you're in Florence, or do you have a few different places?
Right now, that's the only one that we do in Florence.
Cool.
And what is the Twitter handle for you guys over there, Dump?
The Twitter handle is news. Hold on.
Don't forget. I think I got mine wrong the first time I shared it.
I know. I don't want to get it wrong.
Oh, Amy had us the wrong New South.
No, I did not.
Yes, you did.
All right. It is at New South _PW, New South Pro Wrestling.
Maybe I did. I'm part
I had
of it.
to,
Maybe
I had to cheat. I'm sorry.
There it is.
Hey, that's
New
okay.
South _
There we go.
So go over there on the Twitter X gimmick and X Twitter gimmick and
X Twitter is like, yeah.
Twix.
And check them out over there.
Twix.
And you'll be able
I've
to
heard.
follow and see their upcoming events, which we just talked about one coming up. So if you want to check them out down there in good old Alabama,
Yes.
go do it.
Oh man.
For the New South Tag Team Championships.
Uh-oh.
This is the one that could steal the whole show.
Ooh.
The Kudo Death Society, awesome tag team. They're our champs. Brogan Finley, we all know he's about to go to the WWE. And then Rico Gonzalez, one of the finest up-and-coming wrestlers going. I predict it will steal the show.
Interesting. And so the ADS is the tag team champions. That's what you said, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Awesome.
I'm gonna go ahead and say we're gonna have new champions. I just feel it.
You
Oh,
think
yeah?
so?
I got trust in a dude in a purple and pink sweater. I think
Hey, the Heartbreak Killers would look good with the gold, man.
I could definitely see that those belts on them, but I don't know. ADS looks like they're not really wanting to lose the belt. So that will be so how many titles do you have up for grabs?
We just have two. We have like
Just
the
the
New
two?
South heavyweight belt and the tag belts. Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Awesome.
Shout out to Candace Harding in the chat. Referee Candace Harding.
Oh yeah, she will be there Saturday.
Awesome. And I bet, is Adam going to be there?
He sure will.
Oh, good for him.
Good. Adam will have an opportunity to learn from a really good one.
Oh, he's such a good dude. I hung out with him at the NWA tapings. I got to see him for a little bit in Nashville last weekend. Mm-hmm. Such a nice guy.
How you doing? What's up, Dub? Hey, man.
That's a pretty good impersonation.
I've known him a long time.
I was going to say, Justin is very good at a variety of.
I see.
I even have an imitation of his snore, but we can save that for. It's pretty good though.
Well, we've touched on your November 11th show. What's next, big and upcoming for New South?
We have our Winter Wars Rumble show coming up December 9th. That's always one of the funnest shows to be at. And then we have the Dump Sanders Holiday Special, which is our annual Go Big for Christmas event.
I like it.
Where are these going to be?
I'm the biggest Christmas, Halloween, Thanksgiving person. Like being in the fourth quarter of the year, this is my favorite stuff.
Oh, fun. I bet that is fun as a promoter too. Like you said, you get to name things. You can have, it could be a Christmas tree fight. Y'all could beat each other with a Christmas tree or whatever you wanted to do, being in the holiday spirit. I like it.
Hey, Stephen Michaels has an interesting question out of the chat. Can we talk about Adam Priest's title win at Anniversary 6?
Sure.
And the reason that stuck out to me is I'm going to have the opportunity to work with Adam Priest this weekend.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yes.
He's going to be here in Vicksburg, Mississippi, challenging Ray Fury for the BIW Southern Championship.
That'll be a good match. Actually, I saw Ray at the NWA tapings too. He was like on the show.
Ray, he's one of my favorite people in the world.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be a really good match.
So, what did is there a reason he was asking about the title win at the 6th anniversary?
Yeah, there's
They've been riding you pretty hard in the chat, so I'm just wondering.
There's something that happened, and he wants to bring it up, but I'm not going to talk about that.
Okay, I'm sorry. I wasn't sure what was going on. And
hey, you didn't know that there's good people that watch this.
Pretty hard in the chat.
Yeah, there's good people that watch this, and then there's like jerks who can't get booked anywhere. So,
like Dale Earnhardt said, it doesn't matter if they boo you or they cheer you as long as they're doing something.
That's right.
We did all get and we got the opportunity to meet Ray Fury also, but we got the opportunity to work. I say work because I was a manager at the Top Guy Tussle. Adam Priest was there too, and
yes.
So he was he was with the real tall guy. What was his name?
Cruel.
Thank you. Yes, he was there. We had a great time at Top Guy Tussle at getting to experience that whole situation.
I don't know if you heard about this or not, but on ad-free shows, the top tier of their subscribers are Top Guys. And they have a Top Guy weekend once a year. And
I've heard of that.
Well, this year they brought them all in, and at Rocket City, they had Eric Bischoff, Ricky Morton, David Crockett, Kevin Sullivan, and Jeff Jarrett. Mm-hmm. And they had a booking meeting.
Great group.
And they let the group be in on the booking meeting and book the card. These are the talents. And there was Adam Priest, Ray Fury, Cruel,
Cabana Dan, Tiger Kid.
I mean, there was a lot of them. And they pretty much got to sit in on a booking meeting. The crowd pretty much booked the show. And then the show was done. It was a huge peek behind the curtain for them. Terry Weaver was a referee. Amy was a manager. And she's horrible about hiding things from the referee.
Oh, I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything. I was there to make sure that my guys got fairly treated, and I mean, I don't even know what he's talking about. He's kind of old.
But that's what she was talking about.
Don't listen to him.
Uh-oh. I smell dissension between the group.
She buried me. I'm just getting back at her.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. Okay.
He's mean to me. No. He is,
that's what she was referencing. So a lot of that talent, she was really excited to get to she actually got to be behind the scenes and see how it all worked a little
awesome bit. Yeah,
it was, and they treated it just like it was a show. Time, people talk. I mean, it was great. I cannot express how much fun.
I'm envious. I bet that was super cool to hear like what such great minds think about the product and putting on a show and whatnot. That's really cool.
Yes, it was very great.
Well, Dump, we thank you for your coming in tonight.
I appreciate it.
Really flown by. I've enjoyed getting to talk to you and learning about what was going on in New South, and I'm excited about your. I mean, you got a great show coming up this weekend.
Thank you so much,
and I wish you all the success with it. Tell everybody once again where they can see New South, where they can watch New South, where they can buy New South merchandise.
Hey. Go to IWTV. We're all over there. YouTube, we're all over there. Look at our social medias. and most importantly, buy a ticket, come to a live show. There is no better live show than New South Pro Wrestling.
Awesome. I don't live very well. I say I don't live very far. I'm about 4 hours away, but I want to go. And next time NWA is in Nashville, and you go, let me know because I'm going to go. And
She wants,
Okay.
say
she
hi.
wants a picture with that big belt.
Let's do it.
I will start working out right now because I will not be able to hold that.
Well, the next time I head up to Huntsville, I'll make sure I have my gear with me.
Yes,
Yes.
please.
We're gonna stand up Dave behind that big belt, head to toe, and you won't see him strap to strap.
You
Me and
guys
Adam,
have
me and
to
Adam will go out
come.
there and hold it up together.
You guys have to come just to get a picture with the belt.
Yes.
Just let me know when y'all can make it. Just come on. I got y'all seats.
We'll do it.
I love it. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you again for joining us tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Dump Sanders.
Thank you very much for having me.
Appreciate it.
And
It was a lot of fun. Thank
if you ever want to come back in, you got something going on you promote, the door is always open for you.
Appreciate that so much. Thank you very much. It was very, very nice meeting y'all.
Nice to meet you.
Nice meeting you.
Thank you.
All righty.
That
I'm
was so
excited.
cool.
That's such an exciting promotion. I've been a fan of that promotion from afar. I was so disappointed when we were up there and the weather rained us out and they didn't reschedule it for the next night. They rescheduled it for the next week.
Right. Well, there's something else going on, right? Isn't that what we were told? Like there was at the ball game, there was already something else scheduled or whatever. It just kind of.
Yeah.
I don't know
Well,
exactly
the Trash Pandas got beat like double digits, so I guess they figured one ass kicking a night was enough.
But I do think, like you said, like the Haas tournament and the ball. I mean, they're very catchy names. Like it's all very interesting. I think so. I mean,
Well,
definitely.
And hey, I want to thank everybody for being in the chat tonight, especially all the new people that came in because Dump was here. Thank you for coming in and giving us a chance. And we got a bonus guest tonight. We don't normally have two guests in one night, but this is Iron Claw movie season. And last night, the Iron Claw movie had its premiere, and the premiere was in Dallas, Texas, at the Texas Theater. And one of my friends probably knows more about World Class than anybody. I'm gonna bring him in right now. He is he's the host of the World Class Cast with Mike Mills, booking the territory. He is the World Class historian. He's probably forgot more about World Class than I ever knew. He knows more about the stuff that I was there to see in person than I know, and I was there to see it. Please welcome to the show my friend Lance Peterson.
Hey, great to be here. Finally.
I'm glad you're here.
No, it's fantastic. I'm honored.
When I saw you on Twitter last night, that you got an armband to get on the red carpet, I was so jealous. Because trust me, if I still lived in Dallas, I'd have been down there right beside you.
I said I wouldn't do it if I in my 50s. Maybe in my 20s, I'd go down there and stand for 3.5 hours, but not in my 50s. But there was a chance of getting into the movie through somebody I knew. And they never contacted me throughout, but I did make it into the red carpet pit area, and well worth it. I was there about 3.5 hours. We're just standing there in this in this area, but the actual red carpet's pretty far over. Luckily, they did get the guys out of the car right there at us. And let me go back through it real quick. So we're in this holding area. They gave us water. They gave us the claw hand that I tweeted out or X'd out on Twitter. And
I don't think I'm not jealous of that too.
And they had plenty. They were ready to give out all you wanted. And in fact, I got the red wristband. There was probably only about 70 people in that. They were letting people just in after that. You didn't have a problem. I thought it would be overrun with Zac Efron fans and Jeremy fans, and it kind of was. It was not a heavy wrestling crowd. Some lady and her daughter who were standing by me in line while we were in there, they called over and they said, "Here comes one of the old timers in a wheelchair." And I turned around. There's nobody knowing who this guy is. It's Bill Mercer, and they're wheeling him around. everybody was set up in the back of this theater, apparently, and then they'd bring them around in these SUVs, these big black SUVs, and they'd get out just like you see in Hollywood type of deal. And so Bill Mercer comes by, and I'm going, Bill, and the lady pushed him in the wheelchair, turns him so he can see us and we can take pictures. But, it wasn't a huge deal that people recognized him or anything. Right around that time, I think it was right before that Trish Stratus walked by also.
That one shocked me.
Yeah, it was pretty wild. And then she goes way over to the red carpet where they're doing these interviews, and you can see cameras and things. But she comes back over and comes down the fan row and takes selfies with everybody. Just terrific, bubbly, just as great as you'd want her to be and stuff. So that was really neat. From there, they kind of, made sure we had water. I mean, they really took care of us. Very cool. Then they brought, let's see, it was Zac Efron first that they dropped off. A few people got out of this SUV, and Zac got out and comes right down our road, shaking all our hands, taking pictures, and then heads off. Then it was Harrison Dickerson, who nobody really recognized. When he went by, he got out. People just, didn't realize he's very, very slim. Doesn't look like a wrestler at all. And he walks by, and I didn't know enough to even know his name. I tell you, I was like, what is his name?
He's playing David, right?
He's playing David. And it'll be interesting. He's very thin. I don't know how much in the movie he is. We don't know, if that's where problems start in the movie. I'll tell you, because I didn't get into the movie. We'll get into that in a minute. And then finally, Jeremy Allen. It seemed like a lot of people there were for him. Jeremy Allen White. He got out and immediately went for this girl who I'd been talking to her and her mom the whole time. She had a sign, hug me for my birthday. And they kind of signaled that, this was the girl to get out and go straight for her. It was very nice. And then I got a picture with him, and everybody went down the line. Very cool, very small. As somebody who's been next to Kerry Von Erich in pictures and things, he was very small, but it was cool. And so he goes on in, and was a few more minutes. We'd been there 3.5 hours, and people are dispersing, and there's no sign of us getting in. So I get in, and I leave. I'm parked across the street, great parking spot, no reason to race, but I left for once. A guy and I've had so many good experiences being a wrestling fan. So blessed to have so many unique things for somebody that's not connected really at all to wrestling. Just a fan, just doing my thing. And, I didn't stay, and I got home, and where are you? Why aren't you sitting here? Different people texting me, calling. And so, I felt bad all day. I did not make it into the movie, but the red carpet was neat, and I guess I'll see it in a month.
Well, I was super jealous, and I saw that Chris Van Vliet was there. I saw that Lance Romance was there.
Lance was there, but
I
right there behind.
Bill, the security guard, Bill.
Cobble.
Bill Collins.
Yeah. Todd was with Lance Romance. Was it Todd Diamond? And
Todd Diamond.
He wrestled Chris Von Erich. If I have that right, when he first started, he wrestled him a few times at the Sportatorium and stuff. I wasn't there, but I do, have the results and know that was him that wrestled Chris a few times.
How do you, speaking of Chris, how do you feel about Chris being omitted from the movie?
About a year or two ago, Marshall and Ross, Kevin's sons, did a podcast with their sister. She was able to talk. They really kind of said he was an angry young man. He had a lot of issues, anger. I don't know if it was the health growing up. I know he had a lot of treatments for asthma growing up and, stunning his growth. And he wanted to be like Kerry, who didn't. And, he had a lot of issues there of anger. So, and also his story is tragic too. So I could only make the story more tragic. And I think they're focusing on Barry and Fritz in this. I think that's the main thing. Fritz, I blame Fritz for years. Then I kind of like, well, the boys, they were kind of adults. Where do I fall on this? The dad was just pushing Texas redneck, pushing his family into pushing his boys into the family successful business. And so, sometimes I'm, don't know where to put all the blame, but this is going to put the blame right on them. And, this movie, it looks like they took pictures off social media, my account, other accounts out there, and they made the movie from these pictures because this guy wrote it, grew up in England. He didn't, I don't know where he got the information from to do the movie. And we'll see. But visually, the trailer looks killer, doesn't it? I mean, wow.
Did you get chills when you saw the outside of the sportatorium, let alone the inside?
Ah, it was great. And you know how I am. I paused it when the boys were getting in the ring in one scene, and I'm picking out little bitty things like, wait a minute. Buddy Roberts didn't have a perm. If David's fighting him, David was when Buddy Roberts came in, I'm doing little things. Oh, the ring post. Wait, the ring posts are still blue. And this, I'm doing all these crazy things, not being mean. It's just, how I am on Twitter about the little bitty things. That's what I do.
Right. And I'm not going to pick it apart that way. I will say that I think it's cool that David Von Erich in the movie is wearing those tights, even though the Texas now I will nitpick that the Texas on his ass was much bigger than it is on those actual trunks. But I do like that that's what I always related to him, and they did too, because that's what they went with for the movie.
That's great. Your place looks just fantastic. It's always looked great. I knew one of your family members that told me about you a long time ago, and they said, you had a collection of belts and stuff, but it wasn't until we got on Twitter and kind of hooked up that I could see your whole thing, and glad I could help you where I can on that and do a little bit for you.
It wasn't near what it is now, but it's completely ridiculous. My kids said it's evidence that I have ADHD.
A question I couldn't get answered yet, and I'll find out. Mike over at Booking of Territory did interview the guy who plays Buddy Roberts in the movie. He was waiting for one of the strikes to be over and stuff to interview him. And he kind of insinuated that they had the Confederate robes right there on the table, ready to go for the scene. And I don't think that they used them. In fact, in all the pictures, I haven't seen them use it. So I think that they did, at the last second. And I did ask because I'd seen a promo picture of him wearing the headgear, and that's such Buddy Roberts. I mean, the headgear 1983 is such a big deal to us. And I asked him, I said, do you do through Mike, I said, ask him if he did scenes in the headgear, and he wouldn't answer it yet. He didn't want to spoil it. So unfortunately, I kicked myself in the tail all day for not staying a few more minutes and getting in there. But where the Texas Theater is compared to the area where we grew up. It's, way across town and stuff. So,
well, I'm familiar with it. For one, my great grandfather didn't live far from there. He lived on Stella Street over in Oak Cliff. Yeah. And the last time when I left Dallas, they weren't doing anything at the Texas Theater unless it was a dollar movie, because that wasn't a part of the neighborhood that you wanted to go to.
No, unless the middle of the day, the couple of restaurants, Charcoal Broiler, where all the people go on Jefferson Street right there, that kind of thing. But no, I never, that theater, it looked run down. It was just empty. But no, in the last 10, 15 years, they've gotten it together and had many events there. I mean, I wasn't surprised when they did it.
I literally got shot like 5 miles from there. So, I mean, that's when I heard they were doing Texas Theater, it really surprised me. And I'm like, that's where they got Lee Harvey Oswald.
That's right.
But my friend Corey Ryan Forster told me that is the first place that they had a sellout for their comedy show.
Really?
Yes.
Huh.
Because I would have thought if they were going to do a premiere in Dallas, they might have done it down at the Majestic. Especially with Kevin just having performed.
Yeah. Which was, that was fantastic down there. That was just unbelievable. The packed house to see Kevin, him coming down to Stranglehold and looking great. We hadn't seen Kevin. He kind of disappeared for the last few years. We didn't, know what was going on. He'd gotten off social media, but he comes out. He's just looks physically great. Some people, I think Manning was there to keep the stories going. It was fantastic. I mean, I couldn't, I didn't have any complaints. I thought maybe it'd be fluff. We've heard those same stories before. The one where he's kicking Buddy Roberts in the teeth and cuts his foot open. He's been telling that consistent story for years. And of course, we had to hear the Chris Adams Israel story. There were other things in there. Everybody kind of aghast when Dale Hansen, the longtime sports anchor in Dallas who was hosting it, asked him who he had never met. And he said, Roger Staubach. And we all freaked out, couldn't believe it. And the more I thought about it, the more I thought, man, they did all those charity events in the 80s. And he never met Roger Staubach. I mean, I'm thinking maybe he forgot or something, because they did all those Easter Seals telethons, everything. How could he not have met Roger Staubach? I said that on Twitter, and people are kind of not sure, but man, Roger Staubach's, you could probably see, he's pretty visible. I've seen him out in the wild maybe 3 times in the last 20 years. Just, he's around.
I was in a setting that it was acceptable to walk up, and we didn't have cell phones at the time. So, I mean, if you wanted a picture with him, you brought a real camera. But I played in a golf tournament, in an NFL alumni charity golf tournament for Texas neurofibromatosis. That's a mouthful. And it was the year that it was right after the week that Jerry bought the team. And I was actually in the golf cart. One of my partners was Coach Dick Nolan, and I didn't know he was coach of the Cowboys. So it's probably why I got along with him so well that day, is because I didn't know who he was. So we were just having a good time talking about anything but the Dallas Cowboys. But when we were at the banquet part, you could walk up and you could get pictures and autographs and what have you. And Coach Landry and Roger walked in the room, and I was so starstruck that I wouldn't go up to either one of them. And I've kicked myself. And that's why I've never really been starstruck. Well, I still get starstruck sometimes, but I'll fight through it because I know how bad it feels for a missed opportunity. And Roger Staubach was absolutely my hero. Like, I had number 12 on the back of all my t-shirts when I was a little kid. You know, that song, that country song about, it was 1980 something. And that guy goes, I was Roger Staubach in my backyard. Yeah, I was.
Yeah, of course. Growing up here, of course, and stuff. I mean, dang, I think Corey Seager with the Rangers almost reached that level this year. I mean, there's, he's on a certain level. Maybe Dirk is right there. There's just a few that we hold so high, in such high regard here locally and stuff. So yeah, I understand being starstruck with Roger. I mean, and it's hard sometimes.
When they did his 30 for 30 or no, it was an NFL Life, or one of the documentaries that they do. They got to one point, and they go, this is the part of most of our documentaries where we talk about some of the dark side, but with Roger Staubach, there is no dark side. So then they just kept on.
That's pretty cool. For a guy that I have a tough time watching the dark sides after all. I mean, we lived it here in Dallas, and I watched the ones on our guys, especially the Geno one, that Dark Side of the Ring, that was so great. But I don't like watching all that. The older I get, the more I don't want to watch.
It's like they built this whole case that Geno was murdered, and his mom just wanted answers.
His mom's a worker.
The guy said, Geno didn't get murdered; he overdosed, and she's like, okay.
Yeah, the mom was putting on a show, no doubt about it. It was neat stuff. It's kind of funny. If somebody was a hardcore Geno fan, I could tell you, it was so cool. He lived right there, centrally on Lovers and Tollway. Dave, you know where that is?
The Village.
The gym. No, he wasn't at the Village.
No,
he was
Village. It was
down on Lovers and Inwood is where it is. That's where he died. That's where all the guys lived.
That Tom Thumb at one point, that Tom Thumb there was the number one cruising spot in Dallas.
Yeah, that's where within LI, on their Forest Lane, where you go up and down. And the one at Inwood and Northwest Highways where Geno shopped. A buddy of mine was bagged groceries there. But those guys and those guys lived in that place. They had Southwest Airlines a mile down the street. It made the commuting so perfect, and they weren't traveling by plane except the San Antonio, the weekend shots. Otherwise, they're home every night, pretty easy and stuff. And they did those anytime they were Bad to the Bone video at the gym down there. That's not far from where so if you know where all those guys lived, including Geno, it's so centrally located. You can understand why travel in Dallas was so easy. I didn't go over there to try to meet the guys. I think late '87, I drove through that parking lot. I think I saw Jack Victory. Somebody took me over there. I was never one to kind of get in the guys' personal lives. I lived 2 minutes from Grove Hill. I never went over to their graves or anything. I still haven't. I'm in there for family members here and there, but I just never went to their graves. There's plenty of videos on YouTube of it.
I never went out of my way to find them. I went to David's funeral, but I didn't go to the graveside. But I took my mother to Grove Hill for my grandparents' grave, and while she was doing what, standing by the graves and pulling the weeds, and I was just walking around because when I go to cemeteries, I like to look at the headstones, the years born and died, how long have they been there? But I looked down, and the Von Erichs are buried like 50 yards from my grandparents.
Wow.
But if I'd have gone looking for them, I'd have never found them. And I wasn't looking for them when I did find them. So
Right. That's an amazing cemetery with those old headstones, tombstones. I went in high school photography class, and we took pictures, and they looked really cool in black and white at a cemetery. Had a real hippie teacher. She was really cool, and so we could took pictures out there. And then both my parents are now there, so I'm through there, but I still don't go to see them. And really, if you ask them who's famous out there, they will say the Von Erichs. My mom slipped that in one time, said, "Well, who have you got out here famous?" Because she was seeing what they'd say, and they said the Von Erichs and stuff when we were preparing my dad's deal. So it's that's who's out there. There's probably others, but that's who they bring up still.
it's just how it was in Dallas. And
It'll be interesting. I was going to say it'll be interesting with this movie just to see how that kind of brings up all the history, I guess you could say, and I wonder if like your podcast, and if you'll see an uptick on Twitter or YouTube, of different videos of WCCW and kind of revisiting the curse or whatever, how that kind of stuff. It'll be interesting to kind of see what kind of trajectory things go with this movie.
I think the movie's going to do really well in Dallas, and I'm excited for young people that have only heard to get to see it.
Sure.
I'm excited for people my age. I'm hoping that we'll watch it, but we all lived it. And it was kind of like David died. It was a tragedy. Mm-hmm. And then Gino died. Oh, man. And then Mike got sick, and then Mike died. And then you're like, man, this is heavy. Gino. And then by the time Carrie did it, it was like, man. And it was, I don't think, I mean, by the time Carrie did it, you're like, God, now what? I mean.
Yeah, I always thought, what's man of Carrie, and then it happened. And I know where I was when I heard, I had mono. I'd come home from SMU and I was at my parents' house.
It wasn't
mono.
Shocking.
Yeah, I guess that's it. I guess him saying he borrowed the gun from Fritz to go shoot out in the woods, that does sound pretty bad.
Yeah,
your son, he's got problems and everything like that. Gino dying and Gino dying in February, and Carrie's motorcycle deal in July, and the exodus of everyone to the UWF. That and when UWF started here, they saturate the market by starting in Fort Worth instead of, the Freebirds didn't leave town to freshen up. They only went 40 miles over to Fort Worth. One thing I always bring up is I thought they should have headquartered out of Houston or New Orleans instead of starting UWF. But that by 87, Fort Worth had died so bad. And by 88, Dallas picks up a little bit with, a few things. Freebirds are back. And then the Lawler feud for a while gets things going. So 88 kind of, it jumped back up.
Lawler coming to town was a shot in the arm. I actually went and was excited that Lawler was there because I'd seen him on Letterman, read about him in the magazines. And for the first time I'd ever gone down to ringside to try to get an autograph, and he wouldn't do it. And then Carrie came out and got in his face. And I mean, Carrie, it wasn't a babyface move. I mean, it was like Lawler's here and he's a heel. Carrie comes and gets in his face and does the whole, there's only one Mona Lisa, one Leaning Tower of Pisa, and one world heavyweight champion, and you're looking at him. And because Lawler was AWA and Carrie was world class. But I thought that Carrie was being such a dick to Lawler that it just didn't, that's how it came off to me.
Yeah, I went to that first match too, and Lawler had broke his hand playing softball and had the cast on. So, he sucker punches Carrie before the bell, and they don't have the match. And I'm going, oh, come on, because I'm very into it. Here's, the local big time hero, and here comes Lawler. He's all over the magazines, and I certainly was into the magazines. I owned a grocery store, and so I had all the magazines. My store was not far from where you were. Dave. So,
which store
I was over near the old farmer's market. That's where I had a grocery store 36 years. and cashing checks, selling beer and stuff right by the old city park over there. And so
Now,
I kind of knew your story later by knowing your cousin.
I was going to say, just real quick, Lance, the real test is, were you also shot in the head like Dave
No,
at your grocery
no.
store?
I
Okay,
probably should have been punched in the nose a few more times, but no, no.
So that's
no.
where the story splits. The love of WCCW, the grocery store owning, but it splits there. Okay, I just was
I
wanting to
knew
clarify.
about the shooting, but I didn't know if that was public, so I didn't know if you had talked about that. So I wouldn't bring it up, but I did know about the situation.
Oh, we talk
Yikes.
about it all the time.
Oh, I didn't know. And stuff.
We did a whole episode on it.
Oh gosh. Okay. Well,
Yes.
I've heard the stories and
Well,
everything.
I got so many nicknames. And so eventually you got to start weeding it out, or call me Sybil.
Funny.
We still
Y'all are
do.
gonna have to. You'll have to throw Sybil in their Google machine, because that's dated. That's a dated reference.
That is, yeah, that's
Sorry,
true.
I didn't mean to stop the conversation. I just thought that when you said you had a grocery store too, and I was like, okay, were you
Yeah.
shot in the head? Is that a Dallas thing? Okay, no, it's
No.
not. Okay, okay,
Yeah.
continue. Sorry.
But I got all the
punch
that's
in
why.
the nose comes with it.
I got a punch in the nose before down there, but that's about it. Yeah, and I got all the magazines through the year, so they're all out in the storage bin. And anybody who's looking for a certain deal, you know how I am, Dave. You call me and
I know
what you need.
You've got the one thing I need in my collection.
Uh-oh.
Oh, is that the let me don't say is the cage door match?
No,
Is that the one? No, it's which one? Oh, July 17th, June 17th.
No, August.
Oh,
August
the 2 out of
82.
3. Oh, the 2 out of 3
falls.
carry. Yes, I do have that. I was not there, but I was lucky to
It's
get
my first time
to acquire a collection from a lady that her stuff started in 1947, and so that's how I very fortunate to get her collection. When Carrie died, she was so heartbroken that I got all her stuff. And and then when Twitter hit, I was really, holy cow, that's when I started, oh well, somebody wants to see this stuff, I'll put it out there. Because I remember joining Twitter just to see how the Mavericks were doing in the playoffs and listen to a couple of the sports anchors in town, and it led to so many connections for me and talking to people. It's been wonderful. And I just started Facebook a while back. I was really late on Facebook, and people reach out to me on Facebook Messenger. I never check it because I never think about it. I'd rather be on Twitter, and I'm gonna keep calling it Twitter because I'm an old man too.
Yeah.
Too. I'm used to being on here with people that are younger than me, Dave. I know you're maybe 3 or 4. I'm guessing 3 years older, and so I'm fixing to be 54.
I'm fixing to be 58.
Yeah. Okay. And stuff. It was
and
great when
I'm fixing dinner.
Well, I'm telling you, Lance, when Lance started going, though, he started going sports room. What'd you start going? 86, 87?
Yeah. I got in there a late 85. A couple times my sister took me, and then by 86, I'm 16 and I'm getting down there. And then I'm front row late 88. I got in with the people. James, who sat on the front row when the USA shirts, he stopped going. I think it's when Memphis, took over right then. And he stopped going, and I was tight with the ticket ladies, and that's the old ticket ladies. And they set me there every week. They held my ticket, and I'd go straight in, buy the ticket for the following week. And that's why, if there's the 89 is not out there, but if the 89 was there, I'm sitting there front row for all the Steve, when Steve Austin started, I'm there for all the Lawler, Carey stuff. But of course, I was at all the big shows, never Fort Worth big shows, but all the Texas Stadium, Cotton Bowls, things like that. And, seeing it all, just a lot of good opportunities. 88, I signed up for the raffle for the 3-story cage where each wrestler would represent a fan, and they pick 12 fans, and we go down on the turf and watch it. They didn't have seats around the ring that year. And John Tatum wins me 3rd place, and I get to get in the ring, and they give it to me. And nobody's there with the camera. I don't have any proof or anything of it, but it's neat opportunities I've had and stuff. So that's why last night, missing the movie, I was like, well, I'll see it down the road. And I made the girls happy at work by sending them pictures of Zac Efron and Jeremy Allen White.
Well, hey, after the movie comes out, why don't we get together with you and Mac and do a simulcast and talk about the movie?
Absolutely.
like
Sounds great.
bonus content for our listeners, bonus for y'all, and
I think you're going to have to get in there pretty fast to see it at the theater because of when it comes out. It's a Christmas weekend basically. Then there'll be New Year's, and I know we're going to go see it. But are the masses? Is there enough Zac Efron fans? I think the Zac Efron, now that Jeremy Allen White's become pretty big, it's going to help. But still, I don't know what's keeping things in the movies these days. I realize once it gets to a streaming, that's a whole new ball game, and a lot of people will wait for that. Obviously, I'm not. I'm going to try to see it that Friday night that it comes out, the 22nd. That trailer was rocking and rolling with the music. To have that music, and I guess it's in the movie. I wish I got more information for y'all, but I'm not spoiling it, I guess.
No. I mean, I'm just really excited to see it. I mean, I'm not going to pick it apart. It's like Kevin said, his daughters are the oldest, but they portrayed them younger than the boys in the movie.
Wow.
I was told that, it's just not going to be chronologically accurate. So don't pick it apart. I'm going to look at it for entertainment. It's going to be a retelling of a story that I know. And I think I'll enjoy it more if I don't pick it apart. Because I've already had, I collect belts. So the belt nerds have already they use the NWA 6-man titles instead of the world class. So
I saw the guy who played Brody last night in Gordy, and the guy who played Gordy is huge. He's a wrestler, and
he's a national champion, I believe, for the NWA.
Well, he's wearing that old USA belt. He was wearing it last night. The one with the
that's their national championship.
Oh, okay. I consider that the old Ric Flair.
They made it as to pay homage to it. But that is the actual NWA national belt.
Well, he was wearing it, and the guy who's playing Brody was next to him, and that guy is really short. He's not Bruiser Brody by any means. And Brody's hair, of course, helped him look larger than life. But Brody, when he was here, I just keep throwing in these facts. In '86, he'd burned the bridges in Japan, and he was here headquartering out of Dallas, but still making it around the country, mainly fighting Abby everywhere. And he'd really slimmed up at that time and stuff in '86 here. He wasn't quite as big as he had been, but still larger than life anytime he came to the ring. And, I'm really proud of those pictures that I took all of '86. I took a lot of Brody pictures, especially those at the Cotton Bowl, where he just stood right there. It was as if he was posing for me, and he's bleeding all over the place, and he just had that cage match with Abdullah, and Fritz was the referee. And so, I knew when I was taking those pictures, I'm like, I'm taking the pictures. This matters right here. These pictures, this is a star all over the world. Not that I hadn't taken Von Erich pictures, but that was usually they were rushing past. This is Brody standing right here.
I never saw Bruiser Brody. I never saw him when it wasn't an event for me. It always stood out when I got to see Bruiser Brody. Mm-hmm. So when Steve Austin, when the Undertaker tells the story about Percy taking him to the ring as Texas Red, and the only reason he walked him down was so after Brody beat him up, he could get him back out. And he describes that match. I remember it. I was there.
Oh, wow.
And I only remember it because of Bruiser Brody. It's because Brody was always an event for me to see him.
Were you usually sitting in the same spots?
I tried. I didn't. If I bought my tickets, I'd always try to sit in section D, row 5.
Okay.
Because I didn't want to get hit with beer, and I could stand up and see over everybody's heads.
I always felt the safest, close to the ring, where down the front rows, because the nuts were, things were going on behind me. But the seats we were in, the benches, they were solid. They weren't moving. So I never felt anybody was fixing to come across my back. And if you watch '83, you watch the match, you watch episodes, there's people coming for the ring all the time. Yes. And there's drunks coming down, and the wives and the security guard will watch them. And when I watch episodes now, I'm watching the fans completely the entire time. Uh-huh. I'm looking for people. Somebody just asked me the other day, they showed me a picture of themselves in the crowd. He said, I found this quick picture of me. And I said, let me look around. And I went to like the next episode and I said, there it is. You and your dad, there's a perfect screenshot, because, I'm
Aw.
watching the crowd throughout. A lot of people that I see in the early shows are still there in 88 when I'm there every week. And they look a lot younger, no gray hair. And then they grow. 'Cause I tell you what, once 89 hit and the smoking ban hit all the arenas and things like that, whew, that was the end of the men at the sportatorium. It was me and a bunch of old women, and the Fantastics weren't there. So the teenage girls weren't there because where they went, they, so I was there till kind of the bitter end and still came by when it was global and things like that. But I, was really there for that 89, 90.
I went to Global a few times and I took my little girl, Sarah, when she was a baby. And the thing that stood out about Global to me was Crybaby Brunson. And the reason that he stood out to me because my daughter really liked Crybaby. And I was on a show in West Monroe and this guy named Lolly was there to visit Cassidy Riley. And we were talking and Lolly said, yeah, I wrestled in Global. And I said, I used to go to Global, but all I really remember about it is Crybaby Brunson because that was my daughter's favorite wrestler. And I could call her right now and ask her who her favorite wrestler when she was a little kid was, and she'd say Crybaby. And that was Crybaby. And I didn't know it. So, and I had to convince him that I was not kissing his ass because I had no idea that was him.
That's pretty cool feeling. That's pretty cool. When you can do that to one of the guys that's not expecting it. I saw a guy at the Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame, the one that was in Wichita Falls. I knew he was going to be there. Larry Dwyer, and he was a referee and also wrestled. But I knew he was going to be there, and I had talked to George Napolitano, and I got this picture of him in a bear hug with One Man Gang, and I said, Larry, come here, and he comes over, and I said, can you sign this? He just falls out. He couldn't believe that I had this of him because, he didn't make a big splash. He'd refereed, then he had some, enhancement matches with those guys when they first came in. And, it's pretty cool when, something like that goes on and everything. David, you never made it to the down there to Wichita Falls while it was open,
did not.
You? They tried.
I didn't.
It was just in a bad spot. It needed to be maybe at the stockyards in Fort Worth, something like that, and just open on the weekends. It was just 150 miles from Dallas, right where I'm at. It's just, it was too far. They did everything they could for as long as they could. But they didn't promote either. I did my best, to help them, and they appreciate it, as far as putting stuff out there. And never really came to me and asked, but I put stuff up there and visits, and luckily I took a billion pictures. I do have a secondary Twitter account that's out there nobody really follows that has all those pictures from there. I just didn't want to take close-up pictures because I thought I was spoiling it, and I didn't know. I felt a little uneasy, but I did take, I went 3 or 4 years in a row and took a ton of pictures that probably will never see the light of day again.
What's your secondary Twitter?
The memories of the Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame. Let me look. I go to it.
I can't put it over if you don't know it.
I go to it so little. Gosh, I got to get that's how much I go to it and stuff. Got to put the readers on because I'm an old man, of course. It's memories of the PWHF. I really worked hard on that. Memories of the PWHF. Okay. So there it is. Of course, I want everybody still just following the SMU heavyweight. That's
SMU heavyweight on Twitter. He's got great content. Hey, did you post? I think you posted a picture the other day. I think it was you that posted Texas Stadium from 1972.
Yeah. Wow. That
was a good crowd.
Damn good crowd and stuff. And it was really, Texas Stadium was still so new. It had only opened that previous year, previous October or something. And so, it was still a spectacle to go out there. Plus you didn't have Netflix and all the other things. And it was that's one of the best pictures. I bought that picture from Killer Carl Cox's wife. She had a
Linda Gerwig.
She must have had a ton of stuff. They even gave me their business card, and they had a ton of merch that I could have bought.
I used to buy stuff from her off of eBay. She had an eBay account, and I bought programs, pictures. I was one of her best customers. And then when I went to PCW and I met Cody, I found out that Linda was his mom. Cody Cox's mom.
It's very cool and stuff. There was
Such
a
a
big
nice lady.
Yeah, and he was really cool. I got to talk to him and Akbar at a small fan convention one time, and I've talked to Akbar a couple of times, just barely. But when I met him, the internet was still new, and looking up their history, I know everything about Akbar now, and I know a lot about Killer Carl Cox. I just knew the name at the time, and I only knew a 1980s Akbar in Dallas. Unfortunately, I couldn't ask him any great questions and stuff. I'm asking him about the fire and, at Thanksgiving 83 with Iceman, but really, he had faced everybody and done everything. And he's just super guy, anybody that's been around him and stuff.
I refereed a show with him. He was on the show, and the promoter ran out and stiffed everybody. Akbar's the only one who got paid because he got paid up front before he ever showed up. And but that night was probably one of the worst shows that I ever was on, but was the best show I was ever on, just sitting in the back, listening to Akbar tell stories all night. And you didn't have to ask him questions. He just held court and talked. And I mean, he told me Chris was the only one. Chris wanted to be a wrestler more than any of them. He wanted it more than any of them. And Mike wanted to be a musician. Mike did not want anything to do with the wrestling. He just wanted to be a musician, but he felt like he had to. And if David would have lived, they'd all still be working.
That is out there about Mike and the music. But if you watch Mike, he improved. He was just under the microscope from day one, the Thanksgiving 83 show where he debuted. He's under the microscope the entire time. But if you watch, you see Buddy Roberts teaching him throughout. Then Gino. And it's Buddy for a while. Then it's Gino and Jake the Snake. Jake had a ton of matches with Mike, and you see what he's doing for him. You can literally see. I couldn't back then, but now we have such critical eyes as we're all smart. You can see what those guys did for Mike. And, the one thing I want to say real quick is it's always touching. Mike, Kevin talked about it the other day at the Majestic at that show. And he's talked about it at the Hall of Fame when the Freebirds went in, what a great guy Terry Gordy was. And that's always so touching because we know what magic they worked in the ring, and to know how Kevin feels about Terry Gordy. It's just, just great. He called him a battleship the other day. Just, at the Hall of Fame, he looked in the camera and said, your family, your dad was such a good man and everything. And Miranda's awesome. I've met her several times, and, she's wonderful. I've got a picture with his wife too and stuff at the Hall of Fame.
I've got to work with Miranda once. She was very, very nice.
Very nice. Yeah.
Well, Lance, let's get back together again after the movie comes out.
You got it. I appreciate it and stuff. I know I start rambling on World Class. You can't get me started.
Oh, yeah.
It's the holiday season. What are we going to talk about? That holiday Star Wars. That's always on my mind.
I would love to have you back on again. What are y'all doing now that y'all have watched everything on Peacock?
We're figuring it out. I told him I got to do your show. I've got one on Tuesday. Somebody wants to talk about Thanksgiving 83 that I'm really proud to be on. And then Mike and I are going to figure out what to do. Something, maybe go back to 81, do the things that are out there for 81 and then jump into 82. He only covered a little bit of 82 before I jumped in 83. I wish I could redo the 83 because I was no silver tongued devil. Maybe I'm barely passable now, but at the time when Mike
is my favorite year of wrestling in my entire life.
That's all, I can talk about it all day long, and you get me started on Sunshine, or here I'm defending Mike Von Erich's career, anything, that it's just great. The dynamic of Chris and Garvin. I'll talk about Chris Adams and Garvin all night long because they were really more dynamic than the Garvin David feud and stuff, if I'm allowed to say that. As great as David is, you saw what Garvin did, and just Garvin's career in general, being married since 72 to Precious. What an amazing career that guy had. Nobody can have a career like that.
Garvin. I had a thought about Garvin yesterday, as a matter of fact, that Garvin came in the territory. He knew David from Florida. So I felt like David brought a lot of them in from his travels. But David died in February, the night before the week before Texas Stadium, Saturday night show that was taped on Monday. Kerry versus Garvin.
Absolutely.
Discus punch, 1, 2, 3. Kerry is pumped to become world champion. But Garvin, that was his last appearance. and he went out with a discus punch, 1, 2, 3. I mean, that the bell rang, bam, and that was his departure. And I'm wondering if that he left because David was gone.
No, he had been, their feud had ended a while. Yeah, but it was time for him to go. He was getting prepared where to go, and he chose the AWA. And then when he went to NWA, he said he overheard the guys saying, "Where were you? Why didn't you come here first?" And felt like an outsider is what he said. He did that quick job to Kerry to build it, and Kabuki had done a quick one for Kerry before one of the other matches in '82. I'll lose my thought for a second, but Garvin at Texas Stadium, that's the main event of Texas State, and the final match was Precious and Garvin versus Adams and Sunshine. They had held off the mixed tag, held it off all those months. So I figure Texas Stadium was booked somewhere between Thanksgiving and Christmas, because at Christmas they held them off. They didn't let them fight. They were going to get 5 minutes in the ring if Adams won, but they held it off. I always thought they screwed the fans on that deal, but they were waiting for Texas Stadium. And at the beginning of that match, Kerry had already won the title. The Freebirds and Von Erichs already won the 6-man title. The beginning of that match
was down at that point.
Yeah. Gino comes into the ring before, and he runs both of them down. Both of them, really buries them. And to me, it's almost like nothing mattered. Watching it, I was there, and you couldn't really tell, except you could hear him say Gino Hernandez. You couldn't hear him say exactly on TV. You know what he says but he runs both of them down, and that's what I call the beginning of the second half of the heyday. If you say 83, 84, 85, from the cage door to the hair match, that's right there in the middle, and it's a whole new world. Garvin's gone, and Gino's the new singles bad guy and stuff. The Freebirds were still there another couple months before they went off to WWF for a second. And, but it was great the way they booked Sunshine the whole time. I could go on, and my Twitter's always building up her and stuff. So yeah, I definitely like to come back. You can just hear me ramble. I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, thank you, Lance. I got to do this. We were talking about the title. Titles are belts. Big time belts. Do you need a belt? Does your promotion need a belt? Do you need a belt for your fantasy football league? Big time belts can take care of you. High quality, low prices. Find them on Facebook, Big Time Belts. Join the group. You can take a basic drawing, and the Big Time Belts will turn it into artwork for you to approve. They'll put it on metal and leather for you. Low prices, high quality. The same things that are being used in the ring. BIW, SWA, Battle Zone, AWA. There's the AWA tag team belts if you're watching the video. Big Time Belts can take care of you. If you just want a belt to walk around the house, throw it over your shoulder because it makes you feel like a badass, Big Time Belts will do it. I know that you're thinking that, Dave, I can't spend that kind of money on a wrestling belt. My wife will kill me. I got 75 of them. I promise you, they get over it. Big Time Belts will hook you up. They're very, very affordable. A belt for any budget. They'll get one for your granddaughter's softball team when they do something good. But instead of, they have that belt ready for them when they get back from doing their home run. This guy wanted the Vegas Golden Knights, bless his heart. But maybe you want to get a belt with the Dallas Cowboys or the Dallas Stars or even the world champion Texas Rangers. Big Time Belts on Facebook. And thank you for sponsoring our show. That live read was horrible.
Well,
but I don't think there's anybody left to hear it.
I don't know, Lance, if you saw, but last week we had on James Beard on the show with us, and he had a few Bruiser stories for us and some Japan stories and everything else. James was awesome on here last week.
I've got a long drive in a couple of weeks, and I'm actually going to save that for it and stuff. I was looking forward to it.
And
Boy, these Texas accents are going today. I know my accent is throwing everybody off, and a lot of people listening today is the first time they're hearing me. They've seen my Twitter all these years, but they've never heard my voice. So yeah, I got a voice for silent radio. No.
Oh,
Well, I'm gonna tell you, I lost my train of thought.
Well, that happens a lot on the show.
Take us home, Justin.
Well, we want to thank Lance certainly for coming on here and telling us a little bit about the new movie coming out there with Zac Efron and everyone else. What's it called? The
Iron Claw, and that's what I was talking about. We're going to be very Iron Claw intensive between now and the time that the movie comes out, and mark your calendars for December 14th. December 14th, I'm going to go ahead and announce that David Manning, world-class booker, referee, storyteller extraordinaire. My role model is for being a referee. When I was a kid, I knew I couldn't be a wrestler, but I wanted to be David Manning, and David Manning will be here with us on December 14th.
Awesome.
that is exciting.
That's great.
It's going to be so much fun. Like you said, we're going to be focusing here on the Iron Claw, the Von Erich movie here coming out. Thank you, Lance, for coming on here and giving us a little bit of insight on the red carpet event that happened down there in Dallas this last week. So for Lance and for the First Lady of the Arn Anderson Fan Club, Miss Amy Vaughn, and for Pondwater Dave Miller himself, my name is Justin Davis saying, take care of yourself and each other. So long, everyone.
Welcome to my party, we're just getting started. A life is a dream or a nightmare scarring. Hand me a drink, cause I think I'm gone.